Is it important for you for the prostitute or to have pleasure?
No.
Dangerfield, Dangerfield. Oh, too much of that in my snout. Oi. Funny how menthol can do that to a man. Also makes your erectile dysfunctions. I remember they brought out cool mints in the 80s. They were like a new spin on mint sweets. But they were cool. They had this like weird little, what would you call it? They looked like the diagrams they used for white blood cells. Like a double concave. Imagine a polo that had been filled in with two curves. Anyway, turns out the coolant in it, which is something like, what's it called? Inositol. That's good for cutting with cocaine, actually, inositol. Gets through a crack wash as well. Learning. What's it called? Sorbitol. And so when I have a vape that's got menthol in it, I'm always thinking that's probably just sorbitol. That's not helping you out downstairs. And at my age, you don't want any not help. Let me put it like that. You don't want sorbitol. Regardless of that, look, I've got an amazing video for you. I've talked about it before, but before we get to that, I've got to shout out for the lovely Rachel in Bristol. Oh my God, she's fallen off her chair. She's rocking backwards. Imagine. Yes, Rachel from Bristol. Listen, your friend Helen, she bugged me ages ago. She thinks you're the most amazing person. She called you an alpha female and just said wonderful, wonderful things about you. And she wanted me to pass that on to you. So I hope you had a lovely Christmas and your best friend thinks you're amazing. Sorbitol. Anyway, right, listen, I've talked about this before. For those of you who don't know, here's the lowdown. Make sure my mic's on. So I was living in Soho. This goes back now about 15 years. I was a very young man. I was an idiot. We're always idiots, but you look back in time and you're special idiots. And I was asked to do an interview with Rupert Everett. If you don't know, he used to be like a Hollywood film star. Wrote some brilliant biographies. One of them's called Red Carpets and Other Banana Skins. And what a character he is. I mean, I got to know him after this interview. We used to have cups of tea and shit in Soho. Some of the stories the man's got are just incredible. But before he got famous, one of the jobs he had was driving a mobile brothel around a place in Paris, a place famous for whoring, but I can't remember what it's called. And he used to drive around that in a van. It was basically a van, and like the woman would pick up a bloke, get in the back of the van, and they'd just drive it around while they were fucking. And this is in the book, and there's a little wooden slot that he slides over, and he sticks a tube, and he chases their heroin for them. Rupert Everett, Hollywood A-lister, yeah. But, you know, that's why he's a Hollywood A-lister. That's why he's a good actor, because he's lived. He can be creative because he's had information taken in. But anyway, I was asked to do an interview with him, and it was all set up to be in the Groucho Club, Dean Street, midday or something, some Thursday. So anyway, me and my missus were having a few problems. And I was kind of hitting the Valium and the Xanax pretty hard. And so I was just zombified. Really, really messed up. Horrible, dark time. I got out of it. I scraped myself out of it, but not in time for this interview. Anyway, I was using the dark web a lot to just get drugs delivered to my house, and I'd ordered some intravenous Valium. You can't... That doesn't turn up on the streets ever. In my 30-year Class A drug career, never did I come across Valium, well, Diazepam, brand name Valium. Chemical name Diazepam, I don't know, substance name, excuse me, for injection. So I'd ordered a load of those, and I'd had them before off the darknet. They're a little bit Moorish. This is the problem with them. Everyone likes a Valium. They're great for if you're going to travel on an aeroplane. They're brilliant. 2 10mls and a glass of gin. You wake up in Thailand. It's pure time travel. Shut your eyes, open your eyes. Wow, I'm here. Just perfect. But the amps, oh no. And here's the problem. The hit, because you're injecting them, the hit is something you will not get through a tablet. The bioavailability isn't fast enough to give you so much so quickly. But on the old David Icke, he's like, brr, brr, yeah. You know, a medication that would usually take 30, 40 minutes to creep up on you is like, bang, 2 seconds. Now, the problem with that is that's better than the longevity part of it, yeah, obviously. So you have one, and one tablet, you'll be right for a few hours before you think, oh, I'll have another one, that felt great. But on those things, about 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, that hit was amazing. And of course, day one, you've ended up shooting about 80 milligrams of Valium, and you're just zombified for days on end. You lose days. You don't know what you've been doing, who you've been talking to. You find things in your house that you've bought, and you're like, gives me the creeps. I can remember once I was doing so much of it. I'd be sitting in the toilet, and we had a crash helmet in our toilet for this sort of thing because people kept falling off the lav on Valium and ketamine, God knows what, dark times. But this wasn't in Soho, this was another time. And I was having a conversation with myself in the other room, but I knew it was a blag. I knew it wasn't real, but I was sort of arguing with my own consciousness, sort of going, I know you're not there. And then my sort of weird consciousness in the other room would go, yeah, but what does there mean in this context? No, thank you. Stop it. Can you please stop it, please? Anyway, years later, fresh with a girlfriend, I was sort of hitting the Valium. So I've ordered these injectables, and she used to have a proper job. She was very high up in a big London restaurant, sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, group, yeah. And she used to come home in Prada suits with her laptop and her expensive glasses. It was weird. I was just, hello, baby. Lovely bird, though. Beautiful. So if you look at some of my early videos, I think I was still with her. Vietnamese, well, English, but Vietnamese heritage. Anyway, I'm smashing these Valiums, and there's a letter arrived for me from the dark web, and I see it, and I know what it is. It's the Valium, and I'm just like... And so I get it, and it's under the pillow, and she's sort of getting ready for work, and I'm like, what time are you leaving exactly? Oh, nothing, I just wondered, I don't know whether to go back to sleep or not, and all this, and she was like fucking about. I loved her, but I'd love her later. I loved them more. I wanted to love them more at the moment. And finally she goes, like, bye love, have a good day, I'll see you later, yeah. I'm straight in the toilet, little 1 mil out, snap the top off this little amp, pull it up, tick, 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 get the air bubbles out of it, jab it in, whole body just warm, but not warm like getting warm in normal life, an inner heat that shouldn't exist on Earth because it makes everything else seem rubbish. Just like... The problem with anti-anxieties, your benzodiazepines, nitrazepam, diazepam, Xanax. The problem with anti-anxieties is they give them to people who go to the hospital going, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm terrified. But we all carry anxieties. There's no actual drug effect. It's not like acid where you have them and you hallucinate. There's no actual drug effect. It just removes your anxiety. Kind of terrifying because if you have them and you like them, that's because you're carrying around so much anxiety and you don't even know about it. And you're just suddenly there thinking, oh, it's all right. It's just all right. Especially that much with that kind of intravenous bioavailability. So I'm just there and it's just perfect. I'm a junkie. That's certainly then, that's what I wanted out of life. That was my priority. Oh, that was my a priori. And then suddenly I hear a key go in the door and I'm like, and I'm still in the bathroom, the door locked. What? She opens it and she goes, don't forget you got that Rupert Everett interview at midday. Now, I've been smashing the Valium for a long time, and like I say, I was already zombified, but now I've just shot this fucking 10 mil of Valium straight into the main line. All right, let's drive. And I was like, shit, looked at my watch, 40 minutes time. Couldn't blow it out. I was a stand-up comedian at the time. I wanted a bit of exposure, and so I went and done it. Now here's the good bit. What follows is that interview. It went out on Channel 4. It was part of a 2-part series called Love for Sale. Russell Brand was interviewed in it, a few other people who'd seen prostitutes. Now listen, like I say, I'm very young. I'm not very young, but I'm a lot younger than I am now. I'm not very cool. I'm not very clever. And I am unslept and full of Valium. I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just giving you that by way of explanation. You know, it's also quite funny. I wouldn't show it to you otherwise, but there you go. Enjoy.
Chris Dangerfield is a successful businessman who claims to have spent so often with Mistress Dita, where she takes him through all sorts of shenanigans. And so I think for someone like that to leave your masculinity outside and just to put yourself under the power of a goddess, it's religion really in the end. It's just religion made sexual. For this man, visiting Mistress Dita is about more than just getting his rocks off. For him, it is an act of devotion and self-abasement as much as sex. What else are men looking for when they visit a prostitute? Clearly, some men visit prostitutes for the kind of sex they can't get any other way. But why would a man spend his hard-earned money on the kind of sex he could conceivably get from a wife or a girlfriend? Chris Dangerfield is a successful businessman who claims to have spent £150,000 on prostitutes in the last 2 years.
I've always been keen on the sex industry. I grew up in a very sort of dismal, working class, southeast London, North Kent kind of area. There's a brothel 5 doors up from my parents' house. I don't know it's a brothel then. Beautiful women. My mum and her friends, they were housewives. They cleaned up, they looked after kids, they sent them to school, they watched telly. That's what they'd done. They wore very boring clothes. They wore aprons. These women didn't. These women wore very little. These women trotted around on high heels in groups of 2 or 3 with alcohol and falling in and out of cars. I'm done. Then I'd done let's see a prostitute in Soho bit and couldn't think of anything else. I'd made £1 million plus with a company I set up. So I moved to Soho. I've got nothing to do. I just started seeing prostitutes around here, and I've done about, I think it's over 150,000 in just under 2 years on Chinese prostitutes. Yeah.
Chinese?
So massage girls, actually. I didn't. They weren't escorts. I didn't go online and book them. But I haven't gone to a Chinese prostitute and said, right, okay, I'd like 45-minute massage and I'd like 10 minutes hand relief. And then, no.
They just do it.
Once it's been established that sex is going to occur and there's a very strange ritual and set of sort of codes that you have to do to establish that. If you don't know them, they obviously do that to stop police going in there and all that sort of thing. Well, they can't stop the police, but they don't want to get done. They don't say, would you like to pay for sex? Says, the hand goes a little bit further when they're massaging, and if you respond, and you sort of go, oh, and they go, oh, you like that? And sometimes they'll just say, oh, do you want everything massaged?
Right.
And if you say yes, they're like, oh, and you're going to give me a tip, which is different from that 30 quid.
Is it important for you for the prostitute or to have pleasure?
No.
Do you think do most of them give good acting?
The thing is, Rupert, it's sex. It's like me asking you, is it important for your partner to be cuddling you? And you'll be like, well, in some situations, yeah, but in others, no. And it's, we're talking about having sex with someone, so sometimes I want them to enjoy it, sometimes I want her to enjoy it more than I do. Lovely to have a woman underneath you yielding to your penis.
But sometimes you want them to act dead.
So... Not dead. I offered that to a girl once, and it was really awkward. I said, "Do you want me to pretend I'm dead?" She went, "No, not really." The whole prostitute thing, and in the culture I grew up in, the working class culture I grew up in, it is considered not only okay but normal and regular to go out to the city, come into London, drink before you even leave the house. I'm talking about a couple of drinks. There's a couple of bottles of vodka will go around. There's tins of Tennants on the train. Before we get off of the train, we're all drunk. You go out, that drunk, couple of E's, maybe a bit of cocaine, whatever, find a complete stranger who you can barely see through your, hello, love, take her home, fuck her, and then afterwards go, and her. They both done the same thing. They don't want it. It's fucking gross now. What a horrible situation to be in. Naked in a situation that on every level should be intimate and has actually got none.
Nothing.
But it promised it. Because that's what you do. You go out, you meet someone, you have sex with them. There's no promise with a prostitute. The promise with a prostitute is you have sex and leave. You know, so that it's fun, isn't it, how that the former is considered all right. And, you know, if you woke up in the morning and you went home and said to your friends and family, oh, no, man, I got really drunk and met this girl and took her home and had sex with her and left this morning. Nothing. Everyone's going to go, if you say, oh, no, man, I saw a prostitute last night, everyone's going, no way! You know, in a lot of instances, that's the response. The problem is, I always say physical time, labour. We do that. That's all sex is. I can't really work out what the problem is.
Chris is evidently unusual, if only for the volume of his prostitute use.
Thanks for watching.
Now we're gonna ask the Raiders to help us do the next tune.
From Anusa, niya malok daw.